Elon Musk's SpaceX says it's running out of money to fund the crucial satellite internet service that Ukrainian troops depend on daily in the battlefield.
So there's conflicting statements on this. Because you needed receivers, I thought that the Starlink satellite systems, like the satellite internet systems, were actually not exactly great for the Ukrainians. Now he's saying, I can't fund it anymore. I can't keep it afloat. I can't keep it alive any longer. So I want more money from the U.S. government. Now, of course, that comes on the heels of Elon Musk talking to Vladimir Putin, as far as we understand, and then saying some kind of wild, sometimes somewhat sane, but sometimes kind of wild and insane statements that are uncharacteristic of Elon Musk and very characteristic of Elon Musk. Basically saying just like full-blown surrender to Russia and give up any claims that you have within your own territorial borders, including eastern Ukraine. And then, of course, that frustrated, understandably, Ukrainian leadership, who then turned around and said, "F you, Elon Musk, see yourself out of our affairs." And he immediately turned around and stated, okay, f me. Well, oops, I don't have any more money. The Pentagon has to give me money now for the Starlink shit.
In Ukraine's fight to push out Russian invaders, one of the most critical pieces of technology doesn't fire rockets or bullets. It's small, easy-to-use satellite internet terminals called Starlink, made by SpaceX, the rocket and satellite company founded by Elon Musk. According to SpaceX, there are around 20,000 Starlink terminals in Ukraine, and they've been vital for soldiers' communication, flying drones, and artillery targeting.
Starlink is the glue, really, between the forward-deployed drone and the artillery that's conducting the strike against Russian positions.
But now, 7 months into the war, SpaceX is warning the Pentagon it is facing the difficult choice of reducing or stopping service.
Why, at this moment, Starlink is raising this issue? It's really bad timing.
Yeah, is it? Hey, guess what, dude? Maybe don't rely on fucking billionaires. Maybe we shouldn't have a system where it's like one guy could just make this decision. You know what I mean? Oh, man, that's crazy.
The company says it has spent almost $100 million and, quote, "We are not in a position to further donate terminals to Ukraine or fund the existing terminals for an indefinite period of time." SpaceX has now requested the Pentagon pick up much of the tab, $124 million for the rest of 2022, a rate that would translate to close to $400 million for the next year. Without Starlink, Ukraine says it can't fight. Last week, reports emerged of widespread sudden Starlink outages on the front line as troops fought to take back territory. The outages and news of the funding request to the Pentagon come as Musk's support of Ukraine is also questioned, after he proposed a peace deal suggesting that Ukraine relinquish Crimea to Russia and hold UN-backed referenda for parts of eastern Ukraine. He told a private audience that Ukraine doesn't want to talk about peace negotiations, while he says Russia would accept those terms.
I thought that was similar to kind of diplomatic peace you want too. Has that changed? No, I am a fan of building an off-ramp and ending this war. I'm an advocate for it. I am anti-war. Reports say the soldiers were using their own credit cards to keep the Starlink up, so possibly Elon is not footing the bill, you mean, right? So Elon Musk is whining about losing a lot of money on Starlinks for Ukraine. Meanwhile, may I present you the snippets of my bank statements? Thousands of Ukrainians paying his company monthly. So the question is, did you really lose more money than you earned? So he was already charging them? This is confusing. The Pentagon said that it was in talks with Elon Musk's Starlink mobile internet system to keep connectivity for Ukrainian forces after Musk complained he was burning through nearly $20 million a month funding the service. I mean, listen. Color me surprised that Elon Musk saw a hot button issue and literally used it as a marketing opportunity for himself, exclusively for himself, and then secretly complained to the Pentagon to get more money for this, and is now also petulant and really fucking narcissistic and is mad that like Ukrainians got mad at him involving himself in otherwise a brutal and bloody war. What's he going to do? Go over there and take his shit back, keep it, and tell him to go fuck himself? You can't. He could just stop the satellites from beaming information back, right? I mean, he could just end it. It doesn't work that way. He could just make it not work. I'm surprised he hasn't called someone a pedophile yet. He literally induced the Ukrainians to rely on a service, then rug pulls them once they do. This is criminal in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, he did. He's such a piece of shit. What exactly is the cost of the service? Those things are already in space. Can the cost operation really be that high? Bro, what do you mean? There's like upkeep. There's people that are fucking literally sitting on the ground monitoring that shit. Yeah, of course the costs are high. Are you saying like the upkeep of fucking satellite internet service is not going to be high? Like, of course the costs are going to be high. And then he did this incredibly petty thing, which was really funny. Elon Musk Starlink says they can no longer afford to give Ukraine free service and asked the Pentagon to pay for it. Starlink has been a game changer in the war. This comes days after Ukrainian ambassador told Musk to fuck off. He turned around and he said, we're just following his recommendation. I love the Michaela tweet under it though. He goes, I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game. That is the most petty shit I've ever seen. He probably just wants to make money off of this, right? He did the PR thing. People forgot about the PR part. Now he wants to make more money off of it, right? But he didn't have to say this part, but he did it anyway because he's a fucking psycho. He's a freak. I mean, this is next level. Wonder if his losing 20 million a month is just how most corpos speak when they say losing in place of not getting X amount of money we could have. I mean, a little bit. Now, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but this is coming off the heels, like I said, of Elon Musk having potentially private conversations with Vladimir Putin. He did say that. He had conversations with Vladimir Putin. He did get liberals like me on board with nationalization. Also, there was no extra cost. These are all satellites SpaceX already planned to launch. U.S. EU government pay for 70% of the hardware costs on the ground, but then fucking nationalize it again. Definitely, Elon Musk is among the world's top private donors supporting Ukraine. Starlink is an essential element of our critical infrastructure, says Mikhailo Fedorov, the vice prime minister of Ukraine, which Elon Musk apparently personally liked this tweet. And people are yelling at the ambassador. God, I love this story. I play no role in this, okay? I am completely outside. I'm looking at this completely from the outside. It's fucking hilarious because Elon Musk stands are now yelling at the fucking vice prime minister of Ukraine because his ambassador popped off on Elon Musk, the deity, the holy Lord. It's awesome. People straight up are like, dude, what do you mean? Demonstrate your fealty to our Lord immediately. Are you crazy? How dare you? Oh, here it was. I remember seeing this. He said, fuck off to Elon Musk. Fuck off is my very diplomatic reply to you. After Elon said, Ukraine-Russia peace, redo elections and annex regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. Crimea, formerly part of Russia, as it has been since 1783. Water supply to Crimea assured. Ukraine remains neutral. And Andriy Melnik said, fuck off is my very diplomatic reply to you. Let him eat each other in the replies, dude. People who are saying Melnik is a Holocaust revisionist, by the way. Brother, that's why I'm saying I'm not touching this, okay? I'm just watching it happen. I'm surprised Elon Musk hasn't called someone a pedophile yet in this story. Every part of this peace deal is pretty reasonable except for the first point about annexation in eastern Ukraine. Yes, I already mentioned that. Why is the first part so bad if that's the will of the people? Because the Crimean conversation is more complicated than the annexed region conversation. The annexed region is fucking annexed by force. At this stage, if they held elections there, you don't even have enough fucking people. There are so many people that have been displaced. The regions don't look like what it was. You know what I mean? People will say, so was Crimea, while refusing to recognize that LPR and DPR, and I'm not even talking about even the broader Eastern Ukrainian territories in general, but LPR and DPR have been in a fucking 14-year trench warfare with like rocket systems and airplanes bombing each other. Since 2014, with 14,000 people dying before Russia even invaded. That's not just something you can fucking point to and be like, oh yeah, this area is Russian now. That's bullshit. There's a difference between that and Crimea, which is something that I think even Ukrainian leadership understood, which is precisely why even Zelensky himself had originally said in the 15-point peace negotiations with Russia that were being conducted in Antalya before they blew up, that they would push back the Crimean territorial conflict 15 years into the future. LPR and DPR's vote to separate from Ukraine and whatever, ultimately, it comes off the heels of 8 years of war. All of those areas and the demographics of those areas have changed so drastically, especially in the immediate aftermath of the Russian invasion. There is also a particular reason why, instead of Ukraine trying to retake Crimea in a similar capacity, they just fucking blew up. They dammed the river and moved on. They just cut off their water and moved on, instead of trying to also forcibly retake Crimea, which, by the way, was a human rights violation. I have mentioned that before, which is why I have said time and time again that the best possible way, the best possible outcome to have stopped this dead in its tracks and avoid thousands of casualties and millions of people being displaced was to reinstitute by force the Minsk agreements, which would have made sure that LPR and DPR still remained within the borders of Ukraine while having autonomy. But the issue now is, I don't even think that they can do that. I do not foresee a world in which the eastern territories that have now been annexed and are firmly considered by the Russian Constitution, which I don't give a fuck about, that is now considered by Russia to be Russian territory. It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous, unacceptable thing. But you absolutely cannot redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision, especially now inside of said annexed regions, because millions of people have fucking been displaced, or, you know, thousands have been killed, millions have been displaced. Like, what do you mean? How are you going to do that? Like, there are people that lost their homes and shit. You know what I mean? It's completely unacceptable. What's also hilarious to me in particular, what I see, what I am surprised other people don't, is that you have one fucking guy with an immense amount of power doing like statecraft. You know what I mean? Why is Elon Musk involving himself in these fucking affairs? How does he get a say in the matter? And people are not even taking a step back and going, well, that's kind of crazy that one guy is like literally having a conversation with Vladimir Putin and then is, you know, having a say and trying to do a Twitter poll, which is like laughable. Like, who are you polling, man? You're polling random people on Twitter? You're polling bots on this kind of thing? This is how we're cutting foreign policy? This is how we're actually going to end conflict? It's crazy. I mean, the poll results did say no, though. Brother, that poll is meaningless. What the fuck? Don't even validate it. Doesn't matter what that poll says. This is a fucking, you're falling in the rookie hole. You do not conduct diplomacy with fucking Twitter polls that are so malleable to outside influence. Very interesting statement from Elon Musk regarding Starlink and how damaging it is for SpaceX economics. Being Ukrainian actually in the topic of Starlinks, I want to tell you some base facts regarding Starlinks in Ukraine. I admire the actions of SpaceX enabling Starlink services in Ukraine. It is a true game changer for the Ukrainian army in open fields with no cellular and long distances not suitable for radios. Given the situation is changing quick on the battlefield, it's a game changer. Despite that, I have not seen any Starlink which was bought by the governments or by SpaceX. All the Starlinks I have seen / used were bought either by volunteers like myself or soldiers with putting their personal money in. The subscription price is also paid out of pocket. In my charity fund, I bought and delivered to the front lines over 50 Starlinks. Some of them are still being paid for, but my credit card was $60 each month. Related, one more Starlink I bought and paid for Ukrainian EOD unit for the Kharkiv offensive. I would be very curious to see actual transparency on the process of getting Starlinks up and running in Ukraine, all the hidden costs that Elon claims, because Ukrainians pay the same price as everyone else, but it's only for Ukraine that is a subject of discussion for Elon Musk. I have bought over 50 Starlinks with official prices from the website in EU countries, Poland, CZ, and Germany, like $400-$500 each. Then enabled portability for the extra, if I recall correctly, $50, then paid monthly fee of $60, was $120 before. It's the same for everyone else in the EU. My question is, why is Ukraine so special for Elon Musk in the sense of operating SpaceX and Starlink? I don't get the answers from the interview he did with CNN Exclusive, especially given the numbers they claim. I think this is far from reality. And here is another bank statement. I think the answer is easy, and that is that he just wants to milk it. It's called price gouging. That's it. He's like, why is everybody else making a fucking killing off the war when I can't get more money from the American federal government? Yeah, it's war profiteering. And it's a staple of the American economy. Seems like Elon is just getting in on the fun. The difference is, of course, he made it seem like he was doing this out of the kindness of his heart, and then went and had a conversation with Vladimir Putin right before he decided, okay, I'm no longer doing this out of the kindness of my heart. I'm doing this for money, even though he was always doing it for money. Now he's doing it for even more money. This, of course, is additionally ironic because a lot of the Starlink and SpaceX technology is heavily subsidized by the federal government to begin with. It is also working off the platform that federal government-funded research, NASA, has conducted, and it oftentimes even directly uses people that they hired through NASA. It's basically getting into the defense contractor game in an identical capacity to every other corporation. This is exactly what Boeing does. This is exactly what Lockheed Martin does. This is what they all do. Tax dollars work in this capacity in every field. DoD contractors having contact with foreign enemy powers is always a good idea. Yeah, well, DoD contractors being so, in the spotlight And then doing so makes it additionally worse.